So, a massive promise was made for tourism in Meghalaya. We're talking luxury hotels, a huge investment. But now it's been 10 months, and there's not much to see. So you have to ask, is this promise the real deal, or is it just a bit of an illusion? Let's dig in.
It all kicks off with this massive number, 900 crore rupees. I mean, that's a figure that really gets your attention, right? It was announced in the March 2025 state budget, promising this incredible leap forward. But what's it actually for?
Well, the plan itself is pretty ambitious. We're talking about a complete transformation of the state's tourism scene. The idea is to build 4 brand new, top-of-the-line, 5-star hotels and luxury resorts, to pull in those high-spending tourists and give a major boost to accommodation in all the key spots.
All right, so first things first, let's really break down the official announcement and see what was actually put on the table.
So here are the basics. 900 crore for 4 fancy hotels in those prime tourist locations. Simple enough. But here's the kicker, the really crucial part. It's all supposed to happen under a public-private partnership model, a PPP. And trust me, understanding what that means is the key to unlocking this whole story.
So yeah, if we're going to get to the bottom of this, we've got to understand how this model actually works. What in the world is a public-private partnership when we're talking about a project of this scale?
Think of it as a team-up, but with really, really specific rules for who does what. It's not as simple as the government just deciding to build a hotel on its own. Okay, so here it is in a nutshell. The government doesn't actually pay for the construction. Nope. Its job is to provide the land and, cut through all the red tape. The private company is the one that brings the cash, builds the whole thing, and, this is the most important part, they're the ones who take on all the financial risk if it all goes south. And this split in responsibilities is absolutely critical. You've got the government setting the stage, making it easy for someone to come in and invest. Then the private partner brings the money, does the work, and if it doesn't make a profit, they're the ones who take the hit. That transfer of risk, that's the heart and soul of what a real PPP is supposed to be. Okay, so this is where things start to get interesting. We get the concept, right? We've heard the big flashy announcement. But when you actually start digging for the details on this specific 900 crore PPP, you find, well, basically nothing, a total void. I mean, think about it. It's been nearly a year since that big speech. For a project this massive, you'd expect to see signed deals, public updates, something. But instead, it's just silence, a big question mark. And listen, these aren't just little details we're missing. These are the absolute basics. Like, who's the company actually putting up all this cash? Has anyone signed a contract, an MoU, anything? How does that 900 crore number break down between private money and, say, the value of the public land? And maybe the biggest question of all, did anyone even check if Meghalaya needs 4 more 5-star hotels? None of this is out in the open. This wall of silence is a huge red flag. Why? Because globally, projects like this, PPPs, are famously tough to pull off. There's a long, well-documented history of them just completely falling apart. Yeah, researchers have looked at this again and again, especially in tourism, and the verdict is, they're fragile. It's one thing to announce a project, right? It's a whole other beast to actually see it through to success. And the research shows these projects usually fail for one of 4 big reasons. You've got financial problems, like the private company just can't get the loans. You have institutional hurdles, think government bureaucracy and endless delays. Then there are operational barriers, like, hey, you built a fancy hotel, but there's no decent road to get to it. And finally, planning issues, where the private experts are brought in way too late in the game. But out of all of those, studies point to one thing that's the #1 project killer: political interference. Even when everyone means well, politics can cause so many delays and budget blowouts that the whole thing just becomes impossible. And look, this isn't just some abstract global problem. We don't have to look far to see how tough it can be to get big projects done right here. Just look at the Jal Jeevan mission. Back in December 2025, reports showed 700 crores in payments were overdue to contractors for a critical water project. Now, if managing payments for something as essential as water is a challenge, you have to ask, how smoothly can a 900 crore luxury tourism deal really be managed? So, you take the total lack of information, you add in the fact that these projects are super risky to begin with, and you stir in the local challenges, and a different picture starts to form. What if this 900 crore investment
isn't really an investment at all.
This brings us to a concept called the fiscal counting problem. It's a bit of a fancy term, but here's what it means. It's when a government announces a potential private investment and presents it as a done deal, as its own achievement, way before any actual money is on the table.
And this really hits the nail on the head. The announcement sounds like the government is spending 900 crores, right? But remember, in a PPP, it's the private sector's money. And if you don't have any named partners, no signed contracts, then that 900 crore figure isn't real. It's what you'd call a fiscal mirage. It's a number in a speech, not cash in the bank.
So the big question is, if the official channels are quiet, what can you do? How do you figure out what's real? Well, that's where you come in. Let's talk about a verification toolkit.
Okay, here are 3 things anyone can do. Number 1, file an RTI, a right to information request. Ask the tourism department straight up. Who are the private partners? Show us the signed agreements. Number 2, do a little digging yourself. Check out the occupancy rates for hotels that are already in Sohra and Shillong. Are they packed to the gills? Is there really this huge demand? And third, let's demand more transparency, like a public dashboard that tracks all these PPP projects in real time. That's how you turn a mirage into reality or expose it for what it is.
Which really leaves us with one final question to think about. When a huge announcement like this is made, we're talking hundreds of crores. It's easy to get excited, right? But if the details aren't there, if the money is just a maybe, whose job is it to ask the hard questions and check the facts? Is it the government's, the media's, or is it ours?